Silver Joker here. Okay, so today I got a guest, a returning guest to my channel. You guys all know him. He's Silver 5150. So whenever I have a question about things that go on in the market, I always call my good friend Silver 5150. He's always gracious to answer my questions. So I've invited him on my channel to help me with this podcast because I have some questions for him, and I think is relevant to what's going on today. So Silver 5150, if you don't mind, we're going to get right into this. So there's a lot going on around the world. I mean, you have to live under a rock to not know what I'm talking about. And so it is affecting us. I mean, we can see it in the gas prices. We can see it in, the prices of just about everything going up. Is there anything that you see that may change or have you modify your stacking strategy going forward?
Oh, man. Silver Joker, that is a very good question. There's probably 9 things I could point to, but for the sake of expediency, and keep it simple for our listeners, I would say that the global bond markets has made it more comfortable for me to stack fractional silver. And what I mean by that is, for years we have been cringing about the premiums attached to fractional silver. And, I've tried to make my pitch over time, why I still think it's worth it. Well, now I really think it's worth it. I saw the German bond market the other night go above 1,000% to the positive.
What?
Which means, yes, it went over 1,000% to the upside in the movement on, I think it was Wednesday night, or possibly even Tuesday night, the same night the nickel market blew up. But when I saw that.
So what does that mean, man?
Okay,
I mean, that sounds pretty significant to me.
Well, okay, if I had to draw a correlation between, say, Germany, which is the German bond market, and the United States, it would be like every man, woman, and child in the United States rushing to buy the 10-year bond in one night. It is that extreme. We're at 1.9% right now on our 10-year yield. It would be like the 10-year yield going to 19% in one night.
Jeez.
But because here's the great thing about it. The great thing about it is the people that are doing that, the people that are causing that, they think they're running to a safe haven asset. And while the German bond is probably the safest thing, paper-wise in the European market, it's really not that safe in that it is surrounded by all of this debt. Same thing with the United States 10-year bond and Canada and Brazil, take your pick. All right, all these countries are debtor nations. And so those bonds, they're only as good as the solvency of the countries they belong to. And I can tell you right now, hardly anybody's solvent these days. Now, my point is what happens when the people that have made all those purchases of those bonds thinking they're in a safe haven asset see it go sideways and realize they're not in a safe haven asset. They're going to try to find something safer. Well, guess what? There's only one thing safer. Gold and silver.
You're seeing it right here.
You're looking at it right here. There's only one thing safer. And I'd even go a step from that. Monetary metals, all right, are the safe haven asset of last resort. So, yes, my stacking strategy, I have become more favorable to digesting the high premiums that come with fractional silver because I know now that we're going to be pushed into such a hyperinflationary vortex that the longer you can stay alive in it, meaning the more transactions that you have, the more often you can buy stuff because you've got the pieces of metal that'll let you purchase.
Right there, man. I love that sound.
That is what's going to get you through to the other side because not only is this thing going to run super duper hot, it's going to run very long. So you need more pieces in your stack as well as more weight. I'm focusing on, say, supply economics. So I'm looking at the things that are running the hottest price-wise. Of course, gasoline is always at the forefront because oil is very high right now. But then also food items, this sort of thing, because you're going to need these things to survive. And so what you're basically doing now is you've been stacking, right? But now you're thinking, how do I protect my stack? Because up to this point, the stack was designed to protect everything else. But again, because they've pushed us into such a limited supply, hyperinflationary scenario, we're going to have to now learn how to protect our stacks so our stacks can protect us later. So that's kind of where I'm looking. And so I'm buying, certain foods or certain durable goods to kind of supplement my stack and basically stacking those items in tandem with precious metals.
Okay, so basically you're doing what you've always done. So you haven't, from what I'm hearing from you, haven't really changed your stacking strategy right now. I mean, you're keeping an eye on things, kind of watching the way things are going, but right now it's just steady forward. It's just business as usual as far as stacking.
business as usual, but with the conviction knowing that there is not a chance in hell you'll be wrong now.
Okay.
You know, people used to kind of have a doubt. It's like, well, should I be stacking as much or should I stack right now? Should I wait and then stack some later? All this stuff. No, guys, we're in a scenario now where it's pretty much a can't lose setup. If you're stacking anything at this point, I mean anything, and I don't want to get extreme or anything like that, but I'm telling you, I've got a jug of base metal right here, a jug of base coins, all right? Base metal coins.
Quarters and dimes and stuff.
Quarters and dimes and nickels. If you've been collecting change, just continue collecting it because I think it's going to have valuable equity in terms of being able to purchase or transact in certain scenarios. Same thing with, post 1982 pennies. If you have pre-1982 pennies, even better. Pre-1965, 64 silver coinage. That is great. The junk or constitutional silver that Silver Joker's famous for. He is the king of constitutional, guys. All right, all that stuff has a very, very good bearing as far as equity. Tools, for Pete's sake. Anything that has a physical nature to it. And this is the point I wanted to get to. I'm not necessarily changing the way I stack things, but they have forced me, the powers that be that are creating this hyperinflationary scenario, the supply shortage scenario, has made me realize now that the mindset, the markets, the mood, the investment should be towards the tangible world. Guys, if you're in a non-tangible world, kind of doing your Robinhood thing or doing your crypto thing, if you're comfortable doing that, that's all fine and good. But I'm telling you, the tangible world is going to eat all that alive. Credit, debit, all of it, derivatives, all of it is going to eat that stuff alive. Your pensions are in questionable jeopardy. All right. Anything that you can get your hands on that is physical at this point, that is the direction we're moving in. And it's not because we want to, it's because they're making it that way.
I got you. So speaking of which, is there a particular type of bullion that you're focusing on now?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question because what I've done is I've gone to, like I said, smaller increments. So I've gone to more fractional type silver. So whereas before, maybe last year you saw me display a couple of kilogram, Chinese dragon restrikes, which are pretty much the top of the heap of silver buying. There's some stuff that's more expensive out there, but what I've done is I've gotten away from the high-end collectible flashy pieces, all right, and I've moved more to the more functional fractional pieces. Now, the problem with that is that a lot of your fractionals are going to carry the same premium as the high-end collectible pieces.
Right.
But the trade-off is that, again, you get more transactions because you're going to need endurance. You're going to need longevity in this market. You're going to need a number of transactions you need to make change if you start to use precious metals as currency, which I think you're going to end up doing. Okay? So, that being the case, outside of physical cash, you want to have those smaller increments, the equivalent of dollars, which are like these Valcambi squares, the equivalent of $5 pieces, which are like your dimes. If you look at these retail markets right now, APMEX, JM Bullion, the big juggernauts and stuff, they have these things for sale, but your Valcambi square is going to run you anywhere from $4 to $8 a piece. The dimes are going to run you anywhere from $6 to $10 a piece. Because that's where we're at now. I remember we used to be able to get that stuff for either $1.69 or even $2. But we're at the stage now, and if you're talking about the actual amount of cash you have to spend, you only have so much to spend. Try to get as many pieces in your stack as you can. Now, you want weight, of course, but number of transactions, I think, is going to be the way to go, and that's how I've changed my strategy. I've actually liquidated some of my bigger pieces that were very generic in nature and have reinvested into some of the smaller fractional pieces because I know now we're going to be in this mess for years, not months, years, probably 5 to 6 to 10 years.
Should we do anything different with our stacking strategy? And I think the answer I got from you is, slow and steady right now, nothing to change. Just keep an eye on the way things are going and just keep doing what you're doing so far. If it's working for you, continue to put that silver away as best you can because you're going to be happy you did because silver is obtainable now.
Yes.
But who knows what it's going to look like a year or two from now. Not to scare anybody or try to pump silver, but it's better to have this in your stack than to want to try to get it if you don't in the future.
Amen.
That's my take on it. So does that about sum it up?
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add to our conversation today?
Keep your eyes on the metals markets. Apparently, the commercial banks are carrying way too much paper right now, and they cannot meet some of these margin calls. And I think we're going to see these spinning plates start hitting the floor pretty quick. And when that happens, every time you purchase a piece of silver, you are pulling yourselves miles away from your counterparts, neighbors, and friends who choose not to do so.
That's good.
But it's not a competition. I'm just saying you're setting yourself up in ways you can't even imagine, positively speaking. Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much, my friend, and absolutely, I'm going to invite you back. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate all you guys out there stopping by. Let's continue to do what we're doing. We're going to continue to put that silver away because it is that important for our financial health. The future is on its way. There's nothing we can do about it except prepare for its arrival. Anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Keep stacking. Peace.
Ha 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 ha.